Okay, we got Riley Hickman here. Riley's the 2013 Southern All-Stars champion. Riley, how you doing?
Pretty good. I can't complain.
Well, congratulations on the Southern All-Stars championship this year. 2013 went pretty well for you.
Thank you. Yes, sir, it did. I can't complain. We've had a pretty good season. We ran, I think we ran 73 or 74 races altogether. Combined with what all we were doing this year, from super racing to crate and steelhead and everything else we've been doing. So we've been here and there a lot.
Well, when you went into the season, was that in your plans to run all the Southern All-Star races, or was that just something where as the season played out and you thought, well, I'm doing pretty good, I'm just going to stick with it? How did that come about?
We weren't totally for sure what we were going to run. We knew we were going to run a series, but we just didn't know what yet. And then we started that deal off down there at Livonia and won the Ultimate Series race over there, and then we'd won a SRS race. And so we were actually, at one point, I think we were leading three series, points-wise, leading the points in three different series there. And then finally they started overlapping, and we had to pick where we was going to go. And the Southern All-Star deal was just more convenient for our racing schedule, for where all we wanted to race, and didn't have to go near as far away from home, and it was just a good fit for us.
I guess with this East Tennessee region being like it is, there's quite a few tracks around, plus there winds up being 3, 4, 5 series that touch in here from time to time. So for a racer like yourself that doesn't want to, make those 6 and 7 hour hauls and all that, it actually works out pretty good.
It works out really good. I always tell people I try to stay within my 8-hour window, and I just try to stay within 8 hours of home. We'll race on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and sometimes Sunday, and I work a regular job, so I'm I have to be here, as much as I can. So us being closer to home, it helps me out with that. And then, Urkel keeps up the cars and stuff when he comes in during the week, and I do what I can, and he finishes everything up and gets ready to go. So it all seems to work out.
Yeah, well, you just mentioned there a while ago you ran over 70 races with supers and crates and limiteds and all that. How do you decide where you want to go? Do you have like a big master schedule or something? Say, okay, this week we're going here and there. How do you make that decision?
Pretty much, before the season started there, Urkel and I got talking, and he said, yeah, he figured we were going to run 80-some-odd races. And at that point in time, I looked at him and I said, yeah, I don't see that happening. But it just clicked off there in the races that we ran. It just so happened we ended up with 73, 74 races there, and ended up with some rainouts and whatnot. So we might have been up there close to 80 had we not had some rainouts. But we kind of do have just a big schedule there. We'll just write everything down and then start picking and choosing. When you're running that point steal, it kind of limits you to where you can go and what's going on, because you've got to be there at those races. You can't miss them.
Yeah, with here over the last, if it's 10 years ago or something, guys kind of locked themselves in. They did supers or they did limiteds or whatever. But here just lately, there have been some bigger payouts for the limited cars, for the crate cars and all that. And, like yourself, it's probably becoming to make financial sense now to have, 2 or 3 different options to go to, doesn't it?
Very much so in our aspect of racing. It's, I can't just go in a super race every week. There's, I think really the closest thing that runs supers is Dixie to me, and it's 2 hours down the road. But, every Friday night you got boys over here, they run steelhead or crate, and they pay $1,000 or whatnot every week. And it's 20 minutes from the shop. So if we're not doing anything, sure, we're going to go over there, you know. And we kind of use that as when we're over there racing. We try a lot of stuff that we wouldn't try normally on the road racing. So we kind of use that as our test stations. Try something that's close to home. If you're not any good, you know, you're not out a whole lot of money.
Right.
Right down the road.
Right. Now, as far as next year goes, I've talked to several racers here lately, and they all say the same thing. We don't have an off season, but in this off season, if you want to call it that, have you started thinking about what the plan is for 2014? Do you see yourself doing the same type of thing that you did this past year, or do you see any sort of changes along the way?
I'd say we'll probably do close to the same thing. I'm not real sure as far as the series stuff goes, what we're going to do. I do know I'm going to try to run some of that 525 series stuff. I don't know that we'll run all of it, but I've got a sponsor that's come into one of those the 525 engine, and you know, told me that we can utilize that whenever we need it. So I think I'd kind of like to go and run some of those races. You know, Mike Baum, he's pushing that series pretty hard, and I don't see anything but good things coming out of that whole deal, and it's just a cheaper way of going racing. You know, the weekly racer that, you know, used to run supers every week at all the tracks around here, well, now they've all died out. And, you know, if you're going to keep racing weekly, you've got to run a steelhead or you've got to run a crate, and not have to travel too far. But I think, you know, this deal is on, this 525 deal. I really think it's a good. The engine builders don't like it, I'm sure, but altogether, you know, you got a engine that costs $7,000 to $9,000 complete there, and it's just financially smart to be able to do something like that. And what you're racing for, you know, you're racing for 3,000 and 4,000 win races, and you know, we kind of do the same thing with some of our super stuff, and just doesn't make a whole lot of dollars and cents, you know, feasibility.
Right. Just talking about the financial aspect of it, you know, and of course the motor is a big deal because the limited, I mean, you're talking like 20,000 maybe or something like that, and you get up in those super motors, I mean, you can basically spend whatever you want to spend, 40, 50,000 on some of those. But aside from the motors, is there anything else you think that sponsor, I mean, that series or tracks or whatever could do? And is there something in regard to maybe tires that would help you all as far as the expense goes?
You know, a lot of people are against the tire rule deal. I'm a big advocate for the tire rule. I like running the hard rear tire stuff. Just, you know, mimicking the SRS series tire rule. Those guys have got a really good package there. They can only utilize the Southern All-Star engine style rule and weight rule. But then they have their own tire rule. You've got to run that, you know, a 56 or a 1600 rear tires, and it's open fronts. And, you know, I can tell you this year running this whole deal with the Southern All-Stars, and, you know, you got 4 tires, instead of just having to have the rear tires. You know, you've got 4 different compound tires. Our tire bill's gone up tremendously this year over what it was last year. So, I mean, you know, that all plays into everything, all this racing, you know, and people think that it doesn't matter, the tire rules are hurting everything, but I don't see it that way. I see it, you know, as being a business, from a business standpoint, and trying to race like a business, and, you know, what you win, you put back into the racing. You see all this, and you figure out real quick that that's why these guys running Lucas Oil and World Outlaws, that's why they've got these big sponsors, and they can go do this stuff. They've got somebody paying that bill.
Right.
And, you know, somebody that doesn't, it's harder to do that. So that's why I'm a big, you know, I like the tie rule.
Right. Okay. Well, as far as what we got here, I think that's pretty good stuff that you gave us there. So we really appreciate you taking the time and doing this interview, and wish you best of luck in the future.
I appreciate it. Thank you for your time, sir.